Warning. Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler. Enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
All right, what's going on? It is the Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest Diggler to ever Diggler for Dirt Cut right, Diggler. And I got with me, of course, Kenny the Dork. Give him what's up, Kenny.
Hey, what's up?
Right, so it's Dirt and the Dork. Dirt and the Dork. We're not your, daddy's sports show. Well, we might be your uncle's sports show. We might be your dad's sports show, but we're definitely not your kid's sports show. But we are a sports show that has the word shitty in the title. So use your fucking discretion on who you think our listening audience is, or what target audience is. But thank you for listening to our shitty sports show.
I mean, regardless of your age or audience.
I mean, do I want my 13-year-old child listening to my shitty sports show? No. But she got to hear me all day long anyway, so I figure, what's the worst that can happen? All right. So for today's show, we have more NBA free agency madness. We're going to talk about balls. We're going to talk about the Supermax contract. Yeah, we're going to talk about balls, right? What are you talking about, Dirty? What kind of balls? You know what kind of balls I'm talking about. You know exactly what kind of balls I'm talking about.
Ooh.
Surprisingly enough, there's 4 of them this time around. Normally that's not good, but this time
there are 4. 4 balls means a walk.
Yeah, it's only in baseball though. Chinese proverbs say baseball wrong, man with 4 balls cannot walk.
Oh yeah. Well, and speaking of baseball, we don't cover this on the show. Why? Because who really cares about it? Did you know today's the All-Star break?
I saw some shit about it in the
I've barely been paying attention to myself.
Yeah, I don't know. Baseball, I don't care into the postseason, and then I care enough to pay attention every once in a while. If I see it in passing, I'm not, outright offended, but I'm not oh, that's what's going on. But, baseball.
So for all you people hoping we cover the trade deadline, sorry.
We're not going to do it. Sorry. All right, so we're going to talk about balls, like I was saying, and the Supermax contract in Houston, and we have some fan feedback. Holy shit, we have a couple.
We have fans?
Yes, we actually have fans. we have a very small but dedicated following on the YouTube and on the SoundCloud and on the Mixcloud. The people, they watch the videos, they hear the songs,
the
Jello pudding pops. The Jello pudding pops, and they comment on the things on the Facebook, and they laugh and they giggle and they say, "Kids, you got to leave the room because I'm listening to my show." So yeah, so the fan feedback there. The fans are asking, what about the Wizards? In the East, are they a threat? They want to know about Colin Kaepernick, how we feel about his situation with him being a free agent still. And another fan wants to know, why are we so mean to New York teams?
Because
we're going to cover that in depth as to why we shit on New York teams, just for that one special fan.
You know who you are.
You know who you are, buddy. And we love you. We're going to have you on the show at some point. All right, so of course we're going to do the Why Your Division Sucks. Today we're covering the AFC North. So that's the new Browns, the old Browns, the Bungles, and
that team in Pittsburgh. I think.
That other team that has a bunch of trophies somewhere, the Steelers.
Yeah. Those
guys.
Yeah.
All right, also we're going to be covering our beer of the week, and boy, do we have a treat for you this week.
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy, do we have a treat for you this week. I think we're going to dig into crates and go back for this one. And, of course, the obligatory, super shitty, indefensible, I can't believe this asshole said this hot take of the week. So,
yeah, boy.
Yeah, without further ado, we're going to jump right into NBA free agency madness. Now, Mr. Dork. Nick Young was recently signed by the Golden State Warriors.
Not fair.
Right, so, no, he's like Swaggy P, former estranged fiance of Iggy Azalea, manufactured Australian hip-hop star who had a video and was fancier or something to that effect. Either way, Super nice lady from what I hear. Either way, so there's not a shot he won't shoot. He's not a good shooter. There's just not a shot he won't shoot. He's been part of those dismal Laker teams for a long time, and now he's a Warrior. So he basically pretty much gets a ring. Now at this point, this is a very curious signing because he doesn't actually offer anything that they don't have well deep into their bench, like with several people over. So at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, I think at this point the Warriors are stacking the deck against themselves just so the season remains interesting.
Yeah, this strikes me as a move where they don't necessarily need Nick Young, but they're snatching him off the market to keep him away from other contenders.
I would think so, but like I said, Nick Young, his whole concept is I'm going to shoot the ball. He's J.R. Smith. Like, he is J.R. Smith. Like, totally he's J.R. Smith.
No, he's J.R. Smith if J.R. Smith was terrible.
Thank you. Had the extra there. Right, so he is J.R. Smith, like, if J.R. Smith was off, but, like, his whole career was based on him being off. That's Nick Young. So, I don't know if there's going to be enough basketballs in Golden State to supplement his shooting needs. Then again, I don't think they care if he's upset for not getting enough touches.
Honestly, if they play him enough, he'll lay off enough bricks to solve the housing crisis in Northern California.
Yeah, definitely. The guys, I mean, they're excited. Like, oh, we get this guy in here. Like, oh, maybe you guys know some shit we don't because we're sitting there looking at this like, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Either way, Nick Young to the Golden State Warriors. Like I said, I think they're just trying to make the game interesting for themselves. At some point, they're just going to tie their shoelaces together and play the entire game that way. As
blindfolds.
Yeah, especially when they play teams in the East, they're just going to do that. Blindfolds, maybe one arm. Maybe randomly plays landmines on the court just to make things interesting. Maybe. But Curry's down with a laceration. He still shoots and scores. So,
but speaking of the Warriors and teams from the East that they play. And the only team in the East that has a winning streak on their court. The Boston Celtics signed Gordon Hayward.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I saw that, right? So they're like, oh, Hayward's going to go to Boston. Oh, he's going to
there was a whole kind of...
There was Clippers, Milwaukee, I think, was in there somewhere.
Yeah, there was he's going to sign, and then, wait, no, it hasn't been confirmed by his agent. And then, oh, God, he's going somewhere else. Oh, no.
Yeah, I watched that.
Miami and in Utah.
Yeah, Miami was in there somewhere, and... But really, the signing isn't bad. The signing's not bad for the Celtics. No. It's a good signing. It doesn't. I don't believe it brings them to the level they need to be to push Cleveland for that title, that conference title.
Well, not only that, but they had to rescind the free agent, or was it the qualifying offer they had given to Kelly Olynyk. He's now in Miami.
Yeah.
They had to cut a bunch of no-names and nobodies, and then the biggest dent they had was that they had to trade Avery Bradley to get under the cap just so they could sign.
Right, so what the Celtics didn't do was the Celtics didn't trade the players they needed to free up the cap space to get Gordon Hayward. So they ended up getting Hayward, and that put them over the cap. So they had to make moves quickly or incur wrath of the NBA for being non-compliant with the cap restrictions and luxury tax and everything. So they had to make their moves. The Pistons were smart because the Pistons were able to somewhat fleece the Celtics in their moment of need, as a team does when you're well managed. You fleece
and
teams.
They got a defensive stud in Avery Bradley out of the deal.
So we're going to see what happens with that. I don't, it doesn't put the Pistons over the edge. They're not. They're still in the cellar.
Well, no, not only that, but speaking of the Pistons, this also makes it impossible for them to re-sign their guy. It was a mid-level guy you probably never heard of, Kentavious Pope Caldwell, who now is on the free agent market as well, and he was being looked at as like kind of a mid-level max guy.
So would you consider Gordon Hayward to be one of those top 15 players?
I would consider Gordon Hayward top 20.
So he still doesn't change the shift.
He moves the needle a little bit,
but not enough, really.
Instead of losing in 5, they might lose in 7.
You're giving him 7? Well, they did. Okay, we'll give him 7. I'll give him 7.
Yeah, I think it closes the gap a little bit.
That's if they could beat Washington a second time around.
Oh, yeah, that's a blood feud.
That's a blood feud at this point. A lot of beef there. Love to see it. It's simmering. Yeah. This is good. Chippy basketball there, guys. Really chippy out there on the floor. A lot of elbows, a lot of chippiness. It's very chippy.
I don't know how chippy it's going to be this season because the major instigator is now, Kelly Olynyk is now in Miami.
Well, I assume it's going to be as chippy as it always is just because John Wall's still there. And you have E04 who's still there. The elements to make it chippy are still in place. The Kelly, he was kind of just there. I don't think he made the game more chippy so much as he took advantage of the chippiness of the game.
I would say, like, It's not going to be Pacers Pistons 04.
No, it's not going to be
where
any
fans
of the,
are getting decked on the court.
Yeah, it's not going to be the malice. It's not going to be the malice in the palace. It's not going to be the Detroit Bad Boys versus the Bulls. It's not going to be that type of chippiness.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Is that even qualified as chippiness, or is that just straight brutality? Because Dennis
that
Rodman
was combat basketball.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman did split Scottie Pippen wide open. He
Bill ain't beer, anyone.
Bill, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right. So, but speaking of the Hayward trade, right? So Hayward leaves the Jazz, which is funny because the Jazz play in Utah where there's no music, but they left he left Utah. He goes and they're really salty. Like, they play in Salt Lake City, and somehow this lake, who has salt in the name, somehow it got even saltier. I swear to God, you go on Twitter and they are losing their. I didn't think folks in Utah had it in them, but man, these are some salty motherfuckers here.
Holy cow!
Holy shit! I haven't seen, like, I understand why you're pissy at LeBron. All right, he was like no shit the savior of your franchise if you're Cleveland and if you were Miami. He was the guy, right? He brought your team any chance of winning anything, right? But I don't see that. He's not. Gordon Hayward's not that guy.
He was the cornerstone of their franchise.
Yeah, but they keep forgetting they're in the West, and then this team in Oakland that's really fucking good. And
yeah,
as long as that team's a team, like if Curry walked, I expect Golden State fans to do that, right? When Durant walked, I expected Thunder's fans to do that, right? I expect that from folks who are no shit like this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, this guy's setting records. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I don't expect Gordon Hayward's fans to set shit on fire. I just didn't see it. I don't know. I mean, I guess what else is there to do in Utah? Okay, there we go. Yeah. So I guess fuck it, right? So let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, man. Let's talk about balls. Balls, right? So speaking of balls, Lonzo Ball had a 2 for 15 performance, but he followed that with a triple-double against the Celtics in NBA Summer League, right? So the problem is that the Lakers lost both those games, right? So they went to his daddy.
It's Summer League.
All right, so I don't know why folks are checking for Summer League the way they've been checking for Summer League, and it could be the phenomenon that is the balls, but
you're really having a little too much fun with this whole balls theme.
You know what, man? Look, it's what it is, man. Look, it's balls, man. It's what it is.
Let's keep playing with our balls.
We're gonna keep talking about these balls. All right. So LeVar was not entertained, right? LeVar is Big Daddy Ball, who's made an I wouldn't say an empire, but he certainly made his mark, and folks are paying attention to him for being a horse's ass, right? And I don't know if this is truly who he is, but he's done a fantastic job in creating a name and a certain type of hype around himself and his children. Even if you hate the guy, you are fucking hate watching him. You're paying attention to this guy. He's done fantastical in that sense. He has marketed and branded himself and his sons very well by being a total douche horse's ass.
He apparently appeared on WWE programming a couple weeks.
He did.
What?
He's actually in good shape. That's surprised. He had the little ball with him. He had one of the little balls with him.
Yeah, that segment. Their segment got cut
because
abruptly.
the kid dropped the N-bomb, right?
Yeah.
So, but one of the little balls was out there.
Yeah.
And so it was big ball and little ball.
I thought it was LaMelo.
Might have been LaMelo, but it was just very interesting to see him make but fuck, he's on WWE, so
he fits right into that world.
He does, but it's just the fact that he was able to take a freshman out of UCLA and make enough noise to where he was in position to do those things, right?
Right.
I mean, like I said, you don't have to like the guy, and you don't have to like his methods, but if you understand what he's trying to do long term, the dude's kind of a genius at this point. Like,
stay in your lane.
We are talking about him. And we're talking about, like, the guy averaged 2.1 points per game in college. And, the guy makes the claim that he's better than MJ, and we all laugh. But the bottom line is we're still talking about this month. Like, we talked about him more in the last 2 months than we have MJ. So, fuck, man. The guy has, I gotta respect the man's hustle. Like, I don't respect his game because, he's a shitty college player. Like, he's better than I am. But then again, he's, a basketball player. But I respect his hustle. I respect his hustle. The dude's doing a thing. I just hope that at the end of the day, he doesn't ruin his kids. I hope his kids.
Yeah, that's the thing I worry about the most, especially with LaMelo and LiAngelo still yet to lace up the boots in college.
Yeah. But like I said, we'll see because it's I don't know. I think that internal dialogue between the family members is a lot different than what we see And I want to say
would I love a seat at that dinner table.
I would. I think he protects his kids quite a bit. I think he protects them, but he has faith that they'll be able to perform in the limelight. So we'll see. Like, I can't be too mad at the Balls, but look, he followed up a shitty game with a triple-double against a historic rival with the Celtics. The kid he's bought in. He could make LA Lakers games very entertaining for years to come.
He's being hailed as the second coming of Jason Kidd in LA right now.
The guy could do some good things, but so we were able to see what Big Daddy Ball had to say, but there was no word to come out of the little Balls as far as the big brothers' performance. But I assume that they're happily just doing whatever kids do at their age, playing PlayStation, fucking playing basketball, do whatever.
Training in an AAU gym.
Training in an AAU gym and being filmed playing badly. But moving on from Balls, so.
But we still balling.
We still balling, of course. Still talking about ball because ball is life. Football and basketball are life. Hockey is like a supplement, like a multivitamin you take, and baseball is what you do, like when you're extra.
For our hockey coverage, tune into the show in April.
Yeah, we'll be covering hockey. But James Harden signed like an Uber max contract, right? So guaranteed $228 million fucking dollars over the next 6 seasons.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he's going to make all that money, and his team still won't see the fucking finals.
Probably not. I mean, even if, like by some miracle, like say conference semis, you get past the Warriors.
Well, the only way you get past the Warriors is if the Warriors somehow, and remember, they're signing everyone, right?
Yeah.
They're paying the money, and they're signing people, and people are taking pay cuts. So they're signing people. So they're built for the next 5 years.
But then you've also got to deal with the Spurs. You've got to deal with the Thunder.
You got to deal with the resurgent Spurs. You got to deal with Thunder licking their wounds coming back with a decent draft. You got to look at a lot of different things.
And then there's that whole Paul George is going to be a Laker next year, and that might bring LeBron too.
It could.
So it's
I mean it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But like I said, it's. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about him making an average of $38 million a year.
Well, so that's the deal. Like, we keep talking about this. That's the deal the players union made with the league, and I think it's great for them. Like, if this is a multi-billion-dollar industry and you're able to get your piece like that, go for it. Like, let's be real. You are one bad jump and landing away from never lacing up again. From never, ever playing basketball again. At least not at the level. Everybody remember Penny Hardaway. Greg Oden came out, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't stay on the court, injured. The kid could have made so much more money than what he did. If he was playing under these rules, he'd be better off. But these guys, everybody looks at what they make. This guy's going to make $228 million guaranteed. How much of that's going in his pocket after union fees, agent fees, and taxes? How much is that going in his pocket? I don't know. Because I don't sit there and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not an accountant. But he's not going to stash that whole $228 million. And I know that once you start getting to that level, us common folk are like, but it's still multi-million dollars. Like, yes.
Yeah.
He's part of a multi-billion-dollar industry. He's one of their centerpieces. So, yes, he's going to make the money. And everyone should be cool with him making that money. And if you're an NFL player and you're sitting there like, I wish we got that much fucking money, then what you need to do is count how many fucking players are in your union and how many players are on each team and how many teams you have, and then do the math and see how that pie gets sliced. Like, bottom line is, there isn't a team in the NFL that can afford to pay any player like these guys are getting paid. The NFL is not structured that way. There is simply too much overhead in the name of employee salaries. Now you can go, well, nobody knows what the books look like.
And not only that, but NFL contracts are, if I'm not mistaken, not fully guaranteed.
No, they're not fully guaranteed, right? They're not fully binding, right? So an NFL team can cut you, and they'll eat a hit on their cap space, but they won't necessarily have to pay you. So the league will penalize them, but you don't necessarily benefit from that. Now, can you write an awesome contract? Yes. Do they have to accept it? No, because the rules don't state they have to. Like, Bobby Bonilla is still getting how much money?
Yeah,
he's getting like what, $1.5 million? And
$1.5 million has not played for the Mets since 1998. I want to say
the guy's getting like, who wrote that contract?
That man is a genius.
Fucking promote that man if he's not the president of his company, because holy shit, that is a miracle.
And he's still getting paid till 2020.
He's getting paid for another fucking 3 years. Holy shit.
It's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, it's what it is. So the NBA players are forever going to make a lot of money, right? They're always going to make money, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
NFL players, hockey players, look, it's what it is. So yeah, I mean, money. Oh, speaking of Houston, right? Carmelo Anthony, he waived his no trade clause. We may have mentioned this last week. He waived his no-trade clause to sign with two teams, Cleveland and Houston. And honestly, Houston's probably going to make the push for him.
Yeah.
Houston's going to make the push for him. He wants to go to a winner because he's a fucking... I mean, all right, so Carmelo goes to the Rockets, right? Does he get the same hate that Durant gets going to Golden State? I mean, he's logic. So the context is slightly different, right? Because they didn't lose to the team in the playoffs because the Knicks haven't made the fucking playoffs, right? But he is joining a super team.
But I mean, he's leaving an essential, and we throw this term a lot on this show, dumpster fire.
He's leaving a dumpster fire to go to a contender.
Yeah,
right. But he's joining a super team. He's doing the same thing.
Let's not forget that the coach in Houston was the same coach he had a public feud with in New York, Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, but does he get the same amount of hate? So for those of us who bitch about the big three in Miami, you're going to get the same shit in Houston. You're going to get your big three. Two of them are going to show up as fucking free agents. With you had LeBron and Bosh in Miami. Now you have CP3, and you have possibly Carmelo, both on strong arm trades.
But the Rockets didn't exactly draft James Harden.
No, they got him from Oklahoma City as well.
Yeah.
But Harden went to go chase his fortune because he knew that as long as Durant and Westbrook were on the court, he wasn't gonna start. That's the problem, right? The problem wasn't that his talent level; it was that he was way better than anyone anticipated. He developed much faster than anyone saw, and he outgrew his position, and they simply couldn't afford to keep him.
Yeah.
And because you have to play him like a starter because he's a starter. And he's proven over the years to be worthy of starting in the NBA. So that's what he's doing. And I wasn't mad at him when he left to go to Houston to chase his money. I mean, I figured it would take them out of contention. Like, they didn't pose a threat as much as they did when they had all three. But I understood where Hart was coming from. Like, I'm not going to see the court as much as I should. I'm not going to prosper like I should on this team because we have these other two stars. So hey, good on him to chase. Like I said, good on him to chase his legacy. I just wish he would.
Houston, though, if they make this trade, if they complete it.
I think if they complete this trade, it actually ruins the team. Yeah. So the problem I have is Carmelo is going to be forcing up all kinds of fucking bullshit shots, and that's just what he does. It's going to be hard to keep Harden, who's proven to be intolerant to fuckery, because his feud with Dwight Howard. It's going to be hard to keep him and CP3, who CP3's an asshole. He's like a Isaiah Thomas, old Isaiah Thomas level asshole. He's a competitor. He's brutal to his teammates. It's going to be very hard to keep those two going with Carmelo possibly blowing games for them because he's been accustomed to shooting the ball whenever he wanted for the last several years. So I think it throws off their chemistry if they make this trade. And I think within 2 years, their team is either fractured or just ineffective in the West. Because like we've said, you got the Spurs and you got Golden State you got to contend with. How frustrating is it going to be to still lose to Golden State or to still lose to the Spurs or fucking lose to Portland because you lack ball rotation now because every time Carmelo sees the ball, he shoots? How long? How long till some of the messy public shit that Carmelo gets into leaks out? Because he's a fucking drama queen. So how long until his off the court shit of how he deals with himself leaks into the media on there in Houston? So I don't think Carmelo trade. I think it looks good, but I think once you look at the characters themselves, I don't know if this works. I don't have faith that this is going to work.
All right.
So I don't know. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel? I said it last week in my shitty hot take. I feel like this puts them a lot closer to Houston, or to Golden State.
It could go the other way, but I don't think it will though. So fan feedback, holy shit. So hey, shout out to a Miss Gianni North out of Los Angeles, California. She reached out and she was like, "Dirty, what's going on with Colin Kaepernick? Why is he still unsigned? Can you talk about that?" And I said, you know what? We all know why he's not signed, but you know what? For the sake of the show, and because I actually had a listener reach out and engage, hell yeah, we're going to talk about this. So Colin Kaepernick, things are pretty split as far as why people believe he's not in the NFL playing right now, why he hasn't been signed as a backup or as a starter somewhere. Because let's be honest, he's a starting level quarterback. Now,
he is one of the 32 best quarterbacks.
He's definitely of the top 32. Now, what folks didn't understand about him last year was he was coming off 3 surgeries. All right, he had a knee surgery, a shoulder surgery, and a hand surgery on his throwing hand. The guy was out of shape coming back into the game. You may have noticed he was much, much thinner starting his football games late in the season than he was before. That's because he couldn't train. He could not train the way he needed to maintain his mass. He was playing on a dumpster fire of a team with the Niners. They were not in a good place last year. And with receivers, he just had no talent around him. So is he going to save your franchise? No, he's not. Is he better than Ryan Fitzpatrick? Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He's better than Josh McCown.
Yeah, he's better than Brock Osweiler.
Definitely.
Right? So the thing is, those guys are on teams, and he is not. So why
Josh
isn't
McCown's the starter for the Jets right now.
Why isn't he signed? The bottom line is teams do not want to deal with the negative press of having someone on that team. Now, regardless if the press is justified or not, regardless of whether or not you sympathize with his cause or you don't, the fact that it brings a lot of negative attention, they're not willing to take the chance on that. I mean, if he'd have beat his wife, come on down. But not standing for the flag, protesting these things and certain things he did, while we may be able to say, all right, I understand what he's saying, other folks really took there is no speech when it comes to politics unless it's hyperbole. Like, folks, there's no moderate speech about these things. You're either super extreme one way or super extreme the other. And his protest, which, let's be real, his protest is truly a protest because it did come at great risk to himself.
Yeah, well, my biggest problem with his protests isn't so much the subject matter, it's that he contradicts himself. Like, talking about, a system of racist oppression while wearing a Che Guevara t-shirt.
Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and speak on his knowledge of Che Guevara, but I will tell you that one of the Marines I worked with, and you may remember Crawley, he's Cuban, and he'll tell you Che Guevara is a huge piece of shit. A lot of people died because of Che Guevara. But I think that there is, a misplaced love affair with Che here. Now, I don't know if it's so much what Che stood for or what he did that folks are really focused on, right? So his desire to rebel and change, all right, admirable. What he did in the meantime, not so much.
No.
Not so much.
And that's what a lot of people, including myself, have a problem with.
Right. So, like I said, these people aren't black and white. They're not one or the other. You can be multiple things. You can be an inspiration to people and have done a bunch of charity work and at the same time be a child molester. Like, being a child molester trumps all that other shit.
Yeah.
But you can have done both. You're not truly... you can be multi-dynamic. You can be multifaceted, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So like I said, I understand Kaepernick. Now, Kaepernick caught more heat because he went to Ghana on the 4th of July. Now, all right, so here we have, and let me frame this for you. For some of the listeners, I'm sure that you just may lack the context to understand this, and I'm going to provide as best I can. And I know I've been tiptoeing around this shit, and I don't speak about it on the show. However, this is a gentleman who was adopted. Yes, he was adopted by a white family. Yes, they loved him and they cared for him. All those things. It doesn't change his identity. He identifies himself very much as a black dude, regardless. And you know what? When you look at him, you see a black dude with an afro. You don't see a half-white dude. Just wait a minute, you didn't see a half-white dude and talk to Barack Obama. You saw a black dude. That's just, there were laws written that enforce that. The one-drop laws all over the U.S. enforce that. And it stands to this day that if you have a little bit of black in you, you're black. So be it. So he identifies himself as black, right? So now, one of the things you have to do, considering that black culture isn't the dominant culture in the U.S., is you may want to explore certain aspects of it, right? So he's come to terms with the fact that the greater culture is at odds with black America, right? And there's a lot of argument to say he's 100% correct, and there's those that can say, well, we've come so far. Understood. There's still a long way to go, to be honest with you. There's still a long way to go. So if you have the means to go to Africa, you kind of want to do it if you're in his position because it allows for a little more self-exploration, right? So the way that folks in Africa view black folks from America is different than the way black folks in America are viewed in America, so to speak, right? So heard a story that a woman was, she introduced herself and where she was from, and the translator took forever to translate it. And she asked what she was saying. And she said she was explaining that you're one of the daughters of the people who were stolen away and that you've come back to visit because all the other women were like, oh my God, they were very emotional in her return, even though she'd never been there. So like, there's just a different viewpoint in these things. And so exploring that and understanding something, a piece of your history and your ancestry that isn't talked about, is not mainstream. It's not taught in school. So I understand what he's doing with that. But nonetheless, since he's on that list of folks we want to look at, folks are looking for anything they can do to say he's unpatriotic. Fine. He knows what he's doing. He's a big boy. He's making his decisions. Does he care about football? Yes. Does he care about football more than he does his civil rights stuff? No. No, he does not, which is why he's not actively bitching and changing what he's doing to meet the requirements of the NFL owners. He's content to not play, even though, yes, he would love to play.
Right.
But he understands that what he's doing puts him at odds with a lot of people. They don't like it, so he's accepted that.
His cause is more important to him.
His cause is more important. He's willing to sacrifice that, and that's what's important. He's willing to sacrifice that, and that's the means of protest. Protest without sacrifice is a pointless gesture.
Yeah,
it's a pointless gesture, and that's how I feel about Colin Kaepernick, his situation. I honestly hope that the same team who took a chance on convicted felon Michael Vick, right? That same team, my Eagles, I would hope that they have a chance to make a playoff at Colin Kaepernick to come and be a backup for Wentz, if not just to get him back in the league. I would hope to do so. Now, that didn't work out so well for McNabb when Vick came back. McNabb was on the decline. Vick had a resurgence. And he made McNabb expendable. I don't think Kaepernick's going to make Wentz expendable. They too much invested in him. Could it create a quarterback controversy? Not unless Wentz goes down. But I'd just like to see him back in the league. But that's me personally. I know there's a ton of people who don't think he should even be allowed to set foot on American soil. And you know what? I personally put my life on the line, as well as Ken, for you to feel that way.
So
hey.
Have that feeling.
It's okay. Like, you're free. Like, the whole freedom thing is people are free to kind of feel how they want to feel about things. Yeah, we went out and did things for your freedom. So enjoy that. Gianni
had a second point that she feels that the Wizards could be a threat to Cleveland in the East with their current young core.
Yeah, you know what? So I actually spoke. We had a little back and forth on this one, right? So she's like, yeah, the Wizards could be good, and I'm like, yeah, they could be good. But let's be real. Like, for as good as Beal and as good as Wall's an all-star. But he is not in the same atmosphere as LeBron James. There simply isn't any team on the East that has the skill set and talent to slow down that juggernaut of a man. Golden State is a historically stacked team, and he still was putting up 40 points in these guys. Fighting through Iguodala, fighting through Durant, fighting through all these Draymond Green.
Yeah.
He still was able to do that. Now, where Cleveland fails is their role players. But you need some way to slow down, neutralize, or match LeBron James's production, and I don't think the Wizards are strong enough as a squad to do that. Now, if they were able to get some bigs that can truly guard the rim and have a presence, then I would say yes. But as it stands right now, will they be entertaining for years? Yes.
Honestly, I feel like they've got to re-sign Otto Porter Jr.
Well, yeah,
they've got to.
They have to, but they need better bigs. They need a better 5. They need a better 4. They need better 5 and better 4. They're going to compete in the East. Period. The East is very diluted right now. But we're talking about a team that through hook or crook did not beat the Celtics in the best of 7, and the Celtics got their asses whooped by the Cavs. So you got to have to frame that. Now, Gianni, I feel you. They're fun to watch, and they win games. But the playoff LeBron, different guy. Playoffs Curry, different guy. Yeah. Regular season, these guys understand it. Look, we're going to do what we do, to ensure we're number 1 or 2 seed. Then the playoff comes, we're going to do that thing we do where we whip everybody's ass. They don't have that in DC yet. They don't have it in DC.
Not quite there.
But if LeBron goes to the West next year, then I can see them repping the East in the finals between them and Boston.
Yeah.
Between them and Boston, that'll be who reps the East.
Boy, will that be a fun little hate-filled feud to watch.
I want to see it. But yeah, so Gianni, you have brought up some good points, some good topics there, and I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it, Ken and I. And we were looking forward to having more feedback, not just from yourself, but from other fans. You can hit me up on the Dirk Diggler Shitty Sports Show Facebook page. You can send me emails at dirkdiggler2823@gmail.com. You can fucking leave comments on the YouTube channel. I don't give a fuck. Look, you can send a messenger pigeon. You can drive by my house and leave it in the mailbox. I'll tell you what, I will say your name.
Use the key to send Morse code.
No shit. Smoke signals. Fuck it. Just do it. I want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. And
speaking of people that we have heard from.
Yes, Mr. David Bolton from New York City. Hey, David.
Hey, what up, buddy?
What up, buddy? So the guy from Philly, that'd be me, and the guy from the Boston area.
What up?
All right, they wonder, like, why are you so mean to New York teams?
Well, I'll frame this.
Yes, please.
When I first met Mr. Bolton in 2006, I'm where he's on duty at the barracks, and he sees me, and he walks up to the desk and says, "Sergeant, there's something wrong with your shirt. There's some red shit on it." Mind you, I was wearing a Pedro Martinez Red Sox jersey.
And
And that's when he introduced himself to me as a Yankees fan. And I was like, oh, I could make your life a living hell, PFC, but I didn't.
Right, because that'd be dickish. Like,
that would be really
beyond
vindictive.
Yeah, pretty shitty.
But that's, so why am I a dick to New York teams? Y'all were responsible for my misery and suffering growing up. Y'all have denied my Patriots a place in history as only one of 2 undefeated teams ever. The Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, blah, blah, blah. I mean, where do I begin? Of course I'm going to dump on New York teams.
So why does a guy from Philly hate the New York teams? Well, let's cover this. So Philly is no shit 2 hours away from New York, right down the road, right? And we've been rivals across all sports for decades. Like, since the beginning of the leagues themselves, New York and Philly have always had a bloodbath when they played basketball, fucking hockey, especially football when Concrete Charlie damn near killed Frank Gifford. I mean, damn. Hey, look, it's there. You earned it. Do we respect you? Yes.
Yeah.
Do we give a fuck about talking shit about you? Not really. But not you personally. We love you, man. But the teams, Yankees, front runners, Mets, garbage. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets, it's New York.
All I can hear right now is Peter Griffin. Mets suck, Yankees suck, Jets suck.
Yeah, right. So, also, how do you know someone's from New York?
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
They'll fucking tell you. So, that's why we're mad at your teams, yo. That's why we shit on New York.
That's why we
teams,
take a huge dump on them.
all the time, bro. But we love you, man. We love you. Got to get you
Thanks
on the show,
for the
man.
feedback.
Got to get you on the show. So those are the 2 listeners that reached out to us.
And don't feel, and to the other listeners, please do reach out to us. We would love to hear from you.
Seriously, we like to engage, man. We like to have a good time with people. So, now on to the main event of the show.
Ding, ding.
NFC North. Why? AFC North. I'm sorry, AFC North. Why your division fucking sucks. So, let's just cover the basic caveats of why they suck. So, one of these teams, actually one of the other teams in the division, but they'll never freely admit it. Browns and expansion Browns.
You're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the other teams only drafts you if you have a felony or at least 3 misdemeanors.
Bungles.
Looking at you, Bengals. One of the teams, despite having the most Super Bowl victories, somehow has an inferiority complex.
Shitsburg.
Wonder who that could be. One of these teams is the Browns. So, like, yeah, that's God damn the Browns.
That was too good.
The Browns. Yeah, the Browns are... it's almost like I would have to do another show on just why the Browns themselves suck. But...
We could do that. We could do a 1-hour show on why every team sucks.
We could. It'd be... For some of the teams, it'd be a reach, but the Browns...
But that's only if we were a daily podcast.
I mean, are we going to count their history prior to 1999 as to why they suck? Because then we're talking about the Ravens, why they suck.
That's a... no.
All right. I know. I don't want you... This. In the meantime, we can divide by 0 and see what happens. No.
Oh, no. That's a catastrophic thing.
Let's talk about Baltimore, right? So the Ratbirds, let me tell you why you fucking suck, Ratbirds. Joe Flacco's not elite. I don't give a fuck how you slice it, right? You guys are like, oh, Joe Flacco's elite. No, he's not. Joe Flacco's very good. Right, so I say Joe Flacco's not elite, and you guys get all fucking pissy and butter. Like, Joe Flacco's got a Super Bowl. Yes, Trent Dilfer has a fucking Super Bowl. I don't want to hear it.
Well, and not only that, but Joe Flacco rode one good playoff run to a monster contract and has rested on his laurels ever since.
I'll say he's resting on his laurel. I think folks just expect a spectacular anything from Joe Flacco, and he's not a spectacular guy.
Let's not forget that spectacular, God-tier playoff run was only made possible by a prayer being answered in Denver.
Hey, look, it is what it is.
That was a miracle.
It doesn't make him elite. I don't care how...
It doesn't.
But when I say this, and I know folks are like, well, it's bullshit. Look, he's not elite. You compare him to those truly elite quarterbacks, and he doesn't match up. But he's very good, right? You don't look at Joe Flacco and think that guy's like Drew Brees. No. Drew Brees is elite. No. So Joe Flacco's good, not elite. And
he's one of few quarterbacks to have a winning record in the playoffs in New England.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good himself in New England. He's solid in New England. Like I said, Joe Flacco, the game's not too big for him. He's just very boring. He's a mayonnaise sandwich of a football player. He's just he's fucking bland. I mean, I guess he'll do. I mean, just don't expect any fireworks out of the guy. He's not a fiery guy. He's not going to hype his team up. He goes out there. He's pretty solid, pretty methodical, pretty good. He's like Eli minus the stats.
Eli minus the stats. Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, stats good and bad. Eli will pile up either a ton of touchdowns or interceptions or both. You're not going to see that from Flacco, but you see the same demeanor of you don't really rattle them too much. You can't really rattle those guys. They're pretty solid coming out. And Flacco will beat you throwing for 150 yards a game. He'll beat you. So he's, like I said, not elite, not going to put up ridiculous numbers, but he's solid, doesn't make bad decisions. So I just don't want to hear these fucking elite. Don't tell me he's elite because I'm going to fucking laugh in your face. So yeah, moving on from that. So your team somehow to the standard as to how to fuck up a public domestic violence incident, right? But thankfully, much to your grace, a few years later, the Giants came back and asked you to hold their beer while they showed you how it's really done. So Josh Brown is your saving grace in this case for being somehow a shitty punter who engaged in years of torment and torture. But before then, the Ravens did set the standard for how to fuck it up publicly. Now, does the NFL play a part in that? Of course, they always do.
Yeah, well, yeah, suppressing the other half of the video.
Yeah, I mean, Roger Goodell can't help but fuck some shit up when it comes to legal stuff. But
I haven't seen the other half of the tape.
I don't know, sir. So yeah, but the Ravens did their piece, especially the owner, and totally misplaying this. Like, did Ray Rice end up being the one that got a raw deal? Yes, him and his wife got a raw deal. She got a raw deal because she got her ass kicked. Yeah, right, and that's not acceptable. Ray Rice got a raw deal because the league suspended him. And then the tape came out, and then they were like, oh, and then they just exiled.
Double jeopardy, yeah.
So, yeah, but this is all because the Ravens tried to do suppress it when they just should have just dealt with it. I don't know when these teams will learn. I don't know. But thankfully, like I said, the Giants came back, and they were like,
hey, my
hold my beer, let me show you this is done up in New York City. And that's what they did. I mean, the Mara family.
By the way, Bolton, that's another reason we hate New York.
Yeah, we covered that last week, though.
Yes, we did.
Right. So, your team was the Browns, should be the Colts in Baltimore. Not the Colts, because the Colts literally left in the middle of the night. And isn't the Browns because the city of Cleveland sued to keep the name and the history of the Browns, which in retrospect is hilarious. But that's why you're the Ravens. You could very well be the Baltimore Browns. And I don't know if your tradition of kind of being good would continue or not. But since then, you've won 2 Super Bowls. And even though you've won 2 Super Bowls, the NFL's out to get you.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, you have to win 5 before the NFL's out to get you.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
Dallas, Pittsburgh,
yeah,
New England,
so.
Yeah.
So hey, Steve Smith, right? Remember him, Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah.
Very charismatic gentleman.
Well, I mean, you called Joe Flacco mayonnaise, and Steve Smith is hot sauce.
He's hot sauce. Steve Smith Sr.
Oh, right, senior because junior's in the league or something like
that.
No,
okay. There was another player on the roster named Smith, and so he decided to say, I'm a senior because his son is Steve Smith Jr. So he decided to make himself Steve Smith Sr. And so he's the only asshole running around out there as a senior.
No, he's not.
No, but there's another guy. Was he the first?
He was the first, but it's now a trend. I mean, I believe who was it? The receiver and Terrence Pryor.
Oh, yeah. But come on, man. I wouldn't mention those guys in the same sentence. Steve Smith's a Hall of Famer.
But I mean, it's still, they're saying Pryor Senior or
lame.
Brown Senior.
Lame. Yeah, look, Steve Smith started that shit because he's Steve Smith and that's the kind of shit he does, right?
Right.
Very, very loquacious, very charismatic. You want to hear what he's got to say because it's going to be like, oh, what's he going to say next? He's talking shit.
Yeah, you'll hear it, too.
You'll hear it. He retired. He's gone, right? He's gone, which means that there's, like, no personality on your team whatsoever. Right, you go, but what about this guy? No, he's boring as fuck, right? So, Dennis Pitta, boring. Joe Flacco, boring.
Terrell Suggs, old.
Oh, Terrell Suggs has calmed down a lot.
Yeah.
If you'd have said Terrell Suggs 5 years ago, they'd be like, no, that's a guy. There's something wrong with him. He has like a couple extra
He's probably going to
chromosomes.
retire in the next year or two himself.
He might. We'll see. Like, if he starts doing what James Harrison, who we'll talk about shortly, does, then, who knows, man. Suggs is, he's quiet. He's quiet now. He's an old man. He behaves as an older gentleman. Steve Smith never quite. He embraced being older, but just so we can tell young people to shut up, which is what he did. Shut your fucking rookie. Shut your mouth. Grown folks are talking. Shut your mouth. Yes, Mr. Smith. Smith Senior. So yeah, and yeah, your owner, man. We can't talk about this enough. How your owner looked the other way when it came to Ray Rice.
Was willing to create a position within the organization for Ray Rice, even if it meant even after the league blackballed him.
I mean, I don't know. Look, it's
looking the other way on domestic violence is inexcusable.
At this point, yes. At this point, they were kind of in no man's land. They handled it very badly. He his fans. I mean, if you think about the media out here, they were raking everyone over the coals over the Ray Rice thing. Like the whole fact of him having slapped shit at her in the elevator was totally lost. It was the handling afterward that everybody was fired up about. So he was trying to make some empty gestures and it didn't work. But hey, you guys suck, man. I live here now. I got to deal with you assholes like all the fucking time. I got to hear your radio shows. Got to see your fans. I got to see dickheads running around with the fucking stupid bird or the raven, that rat on their flying rat on their fucking cars and their trucks. I mean,
purple bees everywhere.
Purple shit everywhere. Fucking purple cami pants. It's fucking terrible. But they're well behaved in the stadium. I'll tell you that much.
They are.
They are well behaved in the stadium. I had fun at the game last year. All right, so Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh sucks, right? Your best player will probably get suspended at least once due to some weed this year. Just understand. That's
Le'Veon Bell.
Looking at you, Le'Veon Bell.
Antonio Brown.
Nah, I don't know about Antonio Brown, but it's always
Martavis Bryant.
Yeah. You definitely got
one more time, and he's done for life, isn't he?
Yeah, you got some potheads on that team. Got some potheads. They do like to smoke the weed. And that's cool, except your football players and the football playing league people don't like it that you smoke the weed.
It doesn't matter if it should be legalized. It's currently not legal.
In the NFL.
Know better.
In the NFL, it's not. So, James Harrison has to be host to some type of Venom-type symbiote because it makes... I don't understand how this guy is still, as good as he is. Like, I don't get it. The guy's... How old?
39.
39?
Yeah, 59.
That's like 50 in football years. The guy is geriatric at this point. His kid's getting ready to fucking play college ball. He's that fucking old. But he's not just playing. He's still starting. He's still a starting level outside linebacker, this guy is. And he'll still come after you.
You say Venom-type symbiote, I say sold his soul to some sort of deity.
He may have sold his soul if he had one. You got to remember, I think the Venom symbiote answers a lot more questions due to his brutality years ago. Because he was like extra brutal. Like he was getting...
Most fine player in the NFL.
Yeah, between him and Rodney Harrison. But his fines were like... Oh shit! Like James Harrison hit you, and a piece of you died. So I don't know how he's able to keep that type of performance up. It's got to be a Venom alien symbiote of some kind.
Yeah.
He might be part of a hive mind. He might be. I don't know, but I mean, it just doesn't make sense for that guy to continue
supernatural
to be
healing abilities.
Something.
Yeah.
He's like Wolverine minus the claw. He might even have claws. Fuck, I don't know.
But you can't use adamantium in NFL games.
No, that's a performance-enhancing substance.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Ben Roethlisberger is only good if he's seriously injured. But that's cool because your O-line is shit, so it should happen fairly soon in the season. So you look for injured Ben Roethlisberger in his prime because your O-line is suspect. Just saying.
He will need a surgery at some point this season. He will miss one game. He'll be back. He'll win you that game.
He'll get an ACL reconstruction, miss a game, and be right back out there the next week because... I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand. But in good news, going into the next point, the NFL has relaxed their celebration rules. So you can bring it on down and drop it like it's hot now and do the bus stop and the hustle, all those things, all at once if you want. You can choreograph it. You can involve props, I believe. It's like they have totally like thrown the rule book into fire when it comes to celebration, which if you watch the Steelers, you know there's a guy named Antonio Brown who scores touchdowns, and he celebrates in a very unique way. So what I anticipate happening is he's going to be running a twerk academy during the offseason due to demand because I see him twerking a lot. I don't mean just like little. I see him doing like some serious hardcore twerking. Dollar bills may rain onto the grass at some point during the
ketchup packets. It is
ketchup packets. And
well, it's Heinz Field after all.
It's Heinz Field. Heinz makes mustard too.
Oh, but my fault.
They make.
And they do make some pretty good relish.
They make chutney. They make sauce. Chutney. They make. Wow. If it can be put in a jar, they fucking make it. Heinz is ridiculous in the shit
they eat
make.
Everything.
They if it can be put in a goddamn jar, Heinz is selling it somewhere on this fucking planet. You want some jarred possum? Fucking Heinz has got you. Heinz has fucking got you. So, of course, his courses, Antonio Brown's Twerk Academy, will be live streamed on Facebook. So if you follow him on Facebook
with Mike Tomlin in the background.
Right, I think Tomlin is going to be standing on the sideline to make sure everything goes as planned. He won't actually say or do anything. He'll just stand there. He may walk into the field during a punt return.
Yeah.
But other than that, he won't do much. So that's why
Omar Epps looking motherfucker.
You know, honestly, he looks a lot like my brother. D from down south and Mike Tomlin share an uncanny resemblance. It's pretty fucking crazy, right?
And you've never seen both of them in the same room, have you?
I have not. No, I've seen one on TV and one in the room, but it was a 7-second delay, so I don't know how that.
Oh, there might be something there.
Could be something. All right, so let's talk about the Bungles and why they goddamn suck. So, as I've said many times over, I'll say it again. Andy Dalton, he's a fair-skinned, red-headed gentleman. He's a ginger. I don't like to use that word because it's almost a slur, but he is, in fact, a fair-skinned, red-headed gentleman. And I do strongly believe, that the bright, unyielding lights of prime time give him a sunburn. The burn of the damned, I'll call it.
Yeah, and not only that, let's just let call it for what it is. His contract is the major cause of why we see teams overpaying mediocre contracts.
Remember when
quarterbacks?
Remember when Dante Culpepper was throwing the ball to Randy Moss? How good Culpepper looked.
Yeah.
Where you have AJ Green, I think it's the same thing. He's not a bad quarterback. He has his strength, but he's not the guy to take it to the next level. He's never going to be.
He is
never. But he did set the table for every other quarterback that got signed after him. Now you got to pay more and more and more. So the reason your quarterback salaries are out of control, Andy Dalton, he's the reason. And it's not like he's won a lot of things, because how many playoff games has he won? That'd be 0. The number is 0. 0 is actually not a number.
The Bungles, as a franchise since 1988, have not won a playoff game.
That's astounding. So you mean the Icky Shuffle was the last time they won something?
The Icky Shuffle.
Oh, my God. Anybody remember Icky Woods? Boomer Esiason?
Yeah.
Sam
Weiss.
Anthony Munoz. All-Star Hall
Tim
of Fame.
Crumrye broke both his legs in the opening quarter of Super Bowl 23.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Dropping that knowledge.
There you go. So Marvin Lewis, who was your current coach, should have been fired 4 years ago. So Ken was like, should have been fired 2 years ago. I said, fuck that. Should have been fired 4 years ago. Your team's an undisciplined fucking clusterfuck mess of
And the only reason I said
felons.
2 years ago is I'm sorry, but if Pac-Man and Vontez Burfict's outbursts are going to cost you a playoff game, if you do not have enough control of your team to keep your players in check long enough to close out a playoff game against a hated division rival, you do not belong on the field coaching that team.
If you draft Vontez Burfict and you bring Pac-Man Jones onto your team,
And Joe Mixon.
knowing the kind of shit. Now, are those guys talented players? Yeah, yes, they are. Are they going to cost you games? Yes, they're going to cost you games. Not from anything they necessarily do during a play, but the after the play shit, the dirty shit. Vontez Burfict is a known super dirty player.
He almost got in a fight with Rob Gronkowski last year.
Rob Gronkowski doesn't want to fight anybody. Rob is
He's a happy-go-lucky doofus who catches touchdowns.
And he's like
but if you make Gronk mad enough, he wants to fight you, you've done something.
Well, he was twisting ankles. He does like all those terrible things you heard about in the 80s. He still does them. The problem is we have high-definition cameras, so we can see it. So it doesn't stop him or anything, discourage him, but he does it. So the reason I say Marvin Lewis should have been fired 4 years ago is because he continues to bring on folks that are talented but have these type of character flaws, and he doesn't teach them. They don't grow as men, which is why you have teams blowing division games against divisional rivals that cost you playoff games.
Yeah.
Like you need it. You gave them 30 yards where they weren't one. There weren't 30 yards.
The game was pretty much over if they don't do that.
Right? So if you smash and you can cuss Antonio Brown, they still don't kick that football and win the game. But giving them another 15 on top of that 15? Yep.
Yeah. You're getting into an argument with an assistant coach who shouldn't have been on the field.
Right, which brings us to the next point, which we've been talking about. But since Marvin Lewis is still your coach, you continue to sign emotionally unstable players, committing ludicrous penalty at inopportune times against division rivals. Like, seriously, fire this asshole.
Seriously.
Fire this asshole.
I mean, and in order to be considered a worthy draft pick, a young player must have at least one run-in with the law. Misdemeanor, felony, doesn't matter. Just get it arrested at least once, and you're on Marv's radar.
Bonus if it's a drug or domestic abuse charge.
Joe Mixon.
Bonus points if it's a drug or domestic abuse charge. And also, you cannot blame every shitty season on AJ Green being hurt.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You guys have had
it worked out for you in 2016 that way.
Yeah, you guys have had some pretty good receivers come through, and you've done nothing with them. So, AJ Green, as good as he is, and he's probably like the third best receiver in football right now. Maybe
wasted on that team.
He'll continue to put up astronomical. He's the equivalent of Megatron on the Lions.
Yeah,
he'll never see a real win. He'll never win till he leaves. Now,
oh boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have children in the room, I'm gonna have to ask you to remove them from the premises.
It's gonna get brutal.
It's gonna get pretty ugly here. We're talking about the Browns now. Those Browns. No, not the old Browns in Baltimore. The new ones. and Cleveland, the expansion Browns, the newer Browns that have existed since 1999. Those Browns.
The same franchise that thought Tim Couch was the Great White Hope.
The same franchise that thought Johnny Manziel was the Great White Hope.
Same that thought Brady.
Quinn?
Brady Quinn was the Great White Hope.
Dude bro from Notre Dame? Was Notre
Dude
Dame?
bro.
That dude used to drink Smirnoff Ice.
I mean, we can say that about every quarterback they've brought on.
Honestly,
it's been terrible.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly.
It's been horrible.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
but
If you're
like-
a Browns fan, look, I'm sorry.
We sympathize.
I'm so sorry. All right. Jimmy Haslam's a billionaire piece of shit, which, all right, we've said this literally like almost every time, but seriously, this guy has been sued by the federal government for fraud at least once.
Playing a pilot flying J.
Yeah, he's like legitimately a dirty businessman. He's not like a dick like Dan Snyder or just your general billionaire poor GM like Jerry Jones.
No, going out of his way to defraud his customers.
Like, he's defrauded people. Like, he's truly a terrible businessman in that sense that he's a thief.
Oh, that, and he brought the Cleveland Browns. How smart of a businessman could he be?
He's all right. So, and NFL franchises tend to make money due to revenue sharing anyway, right? So, a team in Cleveland still is going to make some money. He hires really bad people, and I think so we'll talk about the hiring stuff in a little bit, but man,
Yeah.
So this is a good one here. Like, the dog pound is only famous because no one wants to be publicly identified as a Browns fan. Hence.
The dog masks. You like
and
that,
I'm like,
don't you?
that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
Some harsh.
That's pretty good. Like, so since no one wants to be seen as a fan of the Browns, you got to wear masks. Now, I think you guys should change it up and bring out the Guy Fawkes masks. The V for Vendetta. That way, when you guys start blowing up your stadium, you guys, all right, well, he's just...
They're anonymous.
They're anonymous, right?
Yeah.
So once employed a front office that thought wasting a number one rounder on Johnny Manziel was a great idea when you could have had Teddy Bridgewater or...
Derek Carr.
Derek fucking Carr. How much did he just get paid?
$25 million a year.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
You could have had that guy in Cleveland. Now, you probably would have wasted him and got him killed by now. But you still
they
could
would
have
have had those leg injuries a lot sooner.
Yeah, but you could have had him, is what we're saying. Because
they could have been, transcendental talents.
Yeah, so you also you somehow thought that if you bring a baseball guy on to do
Paul DePodesta.
Yeah, that it would win.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that goes.
That front office is a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. That's bad hiring. Maybe it works, but not. I mean, you don't know if it doesn't work until it doesn't work. I mean, Chip Kelly was a genius in college, even though he didn't win a championship. Not so much in the NFL. So, almost went 0-16 last year. You didn't win until week 15, which was week
16.
Week 16, which is the only game that that RG3 started and finished because he was probably concussed the next week.
Yeah. And the sad part was they almost won the 16th game, too, because the Steelers were resting their starters.
They almost win a lot of games, but they never actually win them.
Well, I mean, it's like rinse, lather, repeat since 1999.
I swear to God. So when you show up to a Browns game, do you just assume you're going to lose and be surprised if they win? Or
we won.
What's the mental state going into the factory of sadness? What's the thought process going in there? Do you just assume, well, time to take this loss and get drunk, or do you actually think you're going to win a game, and are you like genuinely disappointed when you don't? I want to know. I'm like, Buffalo deals with their losing streaks and the whole, like, they're drug abusers.
They're next level.
They're next level. How do you do it in Cleveland? Because we don't have like the same.
I mean, how do you deal with a franchise that has made the playoffs once since their 1999 return in 2002?
And they've only been in contention once since that time, and that was 2007.
Yeah.
So like, you guys don't do what Buffalo does. Or do you? Are you guys partying like they party in Buffalo? Because if you are, we get some camera crews down there, start recording this shit, and you get your own documentary. And it won't be Hard Knocks. Oof. It won't be Hard Knocks. So Cleveland, I'm looking at you, Cleveland. How do you guys cope with this?
But to cap it all off, why do the Browns suck?
They're the Browns, man.
Duh.
So, moving on. So, as I say every week that we do Why Your Division Sucks, where there is hate, there is hope. So the Browns have kind of. They got a good coach, and they got they're drafted. They were able to accrue a ton of draft capital from the Eagles and other teams, and trading away picks, and they really did good this year in the draft and picking up players. I'm excited to see what they do with this talent.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackson is a solid coach.
Yeah, and then they got Myles Garrett at the number 1 pick.
He's looking healthy now.
Njoku is a solid tight end out of Miami. He could really do well.
We're going to see.
They got Jabril Peppers from Michigan.
Yep.
He'll probably be like a hybrid free safety linebacker
Those,
type.
those in-betweeners, yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't reach for anybody.
No, they didn't really reach. So it's
They did not do the Trubisky thing.
No.
We'll get to that next week.
No, that's for next week. Holy shit, Mitch Trubisky. But no, Cleveland actually looking at this draft, right? But of course, no games have been played. We're not even in the camp yet. But looking at the players they picked up, they built a solid young nucleus.
Yeah, but I mean, like they could have traded all 3 of their first round draft picks to move to they could have wasted their number 1 pick on Trubisky, which a lot of people thought they might do because they're the Browns.
But they're the Browns. But now the Bears are the Browns.
The Bears are the Browns.
So holy shit, I don't know.
I don't know.
So look, there's some hope in Cleveland. Like you guys, in the next 4 or 5 years, could
Hugh Jackson will probably
really,
get it done.
Could really, because the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to see Roethlisberger leave. You're going to see Harrison's going to retire, I guess, at some point and go feast on the brains of the innocent. You're going to have. There's going to be some changes in the division. Marvin Harrison's going to actually get fired, I hope, maybe. I don't know.
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis, I'm sorry. Marvin Lewis actually going to get fired at some point. I don't know.
Marvin Harrison's been out of the game for years.
He's Hall of Fame now. I totally like.
He's also a cult.
Is he? Yeah. Oh, no, the cult is in, like, orange, like, red Kool-Aid cult. But no. Yeah, we're not going to talk about them.
AFC South.
We're not going to talk about
you.
them. We're not talking about them right now.
I know.
You know, him and T.O. had a back and forth on Twitter over his Hall of Fame induction.
That I did not know.
Yeah, T.O. felt he's better than Harrison.
No way. I kind of agree with T.O.
Yeah, the argument's there. But, like, so we can talk about that when we get a little later in the show. But, yeah, they had a legitimate, the Harrison's whole thing was, fuck you, I'm in the hall. So.
Oh, wait, how did we get on this? I don't know. That's why it's a shitty sports show.
It's a shitty sports show because we segue into other things. But, so
Bengals.
the Bengals, right? World of talent in Cincinnati. You guys have a lot of talented players, and if you can get yourself a decent coach / warden to come in there and bring order to that gaggle fuck, you guys can start winning some games. If you can get Vontaze Burfict to, like, not be Vontaze Burfict, like full Vontaze Burfict, like just get like a piece of the mouse, but not all of it.
You never go full Burfict.
Never go full Burfict, right? If you can get him, if you can get Pac-Man Jones to just settle, like if you get these guys, if you can be a calming influence on that sideline to bring your players on the level they need to be, and give them some sense of discipline, you can go far with that roster. You have a ton of talent. We sit here and we fuck with the Red Rocket, right? We fuck with Andy Dalton, but he's not bad. Like you say, he doesn't do
mid-level.
well. He's a mid-level, but with AJ Green, you could be good. Like you could put up great numbers with. He's a great receiver. So this, they're not a bad team. They simply do terrible shit and they lose games because of it. And if you can bring a good coach in, you can stave that shit off. And you can start winning some of these close games, some of these emotional games. You can start winning them because right now, your team just had really bad coping skills. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So now Flacco, talking about the Ravens. The Flacco is not elite.
It's just the same boat as Dalton.
It's pretty good though, and as long as he's got dynamic wide receivers and a solid defense, they're always a threat to take the division. Honestly, like as much as the rivalry between the Steelers and Bengals,
Ravens games are fun to watch.
They're fun to watch, But as long as Flacco has, because Steve Smith was an incredible receiver. No matter what year you look at him, he's just incredible. Brashard Perriman looks to be good if he can get on the field and stay on the field. If you can keep putting good receivers out there for Flacco, he'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Is he gonna make sugar out of shit? No. But if you give him solid receivers, Joe Flacco, like I said, not elite but pretty damn good. He'll win some games for you. Get him in the postseason. He normally plays pretty clean in the postseason.
And he's not afraid of the big stage either.
Not afraid of the big stage. He's so he's just the same no matter what. Preseason game, playoff game, it's the same looking type of guy. He's just steady.
Yeah.
So it's
dependable.
While he's boring, you know what you get every week out of him.
He's a good kind of boring.
He's a good kind of boring. He's solid. He's a solid, predictable. He's gonna he performs. He does well.
Yep.
He takes what you give him.
Exactly.
He'll take a couple shots here and there, but he's not like super exciting about it. He's just he's a good athlete. He's a good guy. The Steelers, now you have a top 2 running back, a top 2 receiver, and an aging quarterback who knows how to get them the ball, right? And if your defense, if your secondary can step up, you guys are in position to push the Pats.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like, Patriots fans, the Patriots may actually kind of own the series between you guys. They're not excited about having to play you. They're not excited about playing.
I'm not excited about that late December matchup this year. No,
Pittsburgh can sneak up on you. So can the Ravens. But Pittsburgh in particular, Roethlisberger can never really be counted out. You cannot count him out. He's led too many comebacks. He's shown too much physical resiliency and mental resiliency in his career to for you to take him lightly. Now, I'll tell you right now, as an Eagles fan, we tend to beat the shit out of that guy. Like, the Eagles, for some reason, will beat the Steelers, who in turn will win the Super Bowl that year. But, rest of the AFC, you don't want to play the Steelers late in the season. A healthy Steelers team with an injured Roethlisberger is dangerous.
They're just running downhill at that point.
They're dangerous. You only have a few years of Roethlisberger left, but you still have him. And he's still very good at what he does, and he still has. I would say that you have the best running back in the game, but Ezekiel Elliott has that crown right now. I would say you have the best receiver in the game, but I'm sorry, I got to give it to Julio Jones.
Yeah.
But Antonio Brown is right there. Like, you can have two of the most talented players in the league on your offense. You have an ageless wonder on your edge and defense. The only problem is your secondary suspect. You get some good cornerbacks, good safeties out there, good slot guy. Change the game. You can change the game.
Change it. Yeah.
Change it. So, so the beer of the week, right? Let's do the beer of the week. Greetings, I'm Dirk Diggler of the Philadelphia Diglays.
And I'm Kenneth Dorksworth of the Connecticut Dorksworths.
And we are here to give you Dirk Diggler's Shitty Game Time Beer of the Week. Alright, so this week's shitty beer is something different. Zima. Alright, y'all remember Zima? You little delinquent from the 90s? You remember Zima? For some of y'all, was the first thing you drank. You're like, Zima? I haven't seen that shit since like 2001. Like, correct.
Seriously, like I remember being a young Lance Corporal in the barracks, and my friends were talking about, let's go to the PX and get a 6-pack of Zima. And I threw him a $10 bill and said, get me a 6-pack of tampons while you're at it.
Oh, man.
That was a little brutal.
Yeah, Zima.
Shout out to Max.
So I was in a liquor store this week, and I actually was looking at some other beers, and then somebody was like, "Holy shit, is that Zima?" And I was, well, I'm sorry, did you say Zima? And they're like, "Yes." So I walked over, and I'm like, "Holy shit, it's fucking Zima!" It's limited release. They brought it back. I don't know why, but they brought back Zima. So I had to get some Zima.
I mean, for the shitty beer of the week segment, how far can you go?
Come on, you'll probably never see this shit again. So all right. So we have the Zimas, right? Let's give them a spin. Hold on. Oh my god, that is absolutely terrible. It's just how I remember. Oh god,
I felt like I was drinking a Sprite.
It's like a Sprite if you, but the dispenser's jacked up, so it's extra syrup.
Sarp.
It's pretty syrupy. And now
it's not scissor.
My first Zima experience. I was at a party in Pendleton, outside of Pendleton somewhere, when I first got back to Division from being in Okinawa. And they went to do a beer run because we were drinking, if you could imagine that.
Oh, no.
No way, Marines drinking? What? Yeah, we were drinking.
Up. Oh, my God.
But they were out of beer, so they brought back Zima. And I'm like, the fuck is this? Like, it's Zima. I'd never had a Zima before. So I'm like, okay. So I had a taste of it. Like, this tastes like a Sprite. Huh. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a shot of tequila in this, and I'm going to roll with it. Hence, the Zima was born.
Oh,
now,
God.
I will drink Zima, but I will throw a shot of tequila blanco in there. So, warning, though, to all you folks who are like, that's a good idea. That's 2 drinks, right? So, if you're going to have a beer mixed with tequila, that's 2 drinks now. So, just be aware of your drink count. If you're like, I only had 3 beers, motherfucker, you had 6.
Okay, seriously.
You had 6. You had 3 shots at the same time as your 3 beers. But is this something you could drink during the game? No. God, no. This shit is way too sweet. Like, is this something your feminine companion could drink during the game? Possibly. If they like wine spritzers and wine coolers and things of the such. Mimosas. If you're a delinquent and you like things like Boone's Farm, then this is for you. But if you're an adult who can legally purchase, you probably want to legally purchase something different other than Zima. But for nostalgia reasons, we had to crack them out. We had to crack these things out, right? So
we're
some
gonna
of you
party like it's 1999.
We are like seriously like it's 1999. I remember this shit came out, dude. They were like, they were pouring it over ice cubes. Like, who the fuck serves a beer in ice cubes?
Wait.
Like, what the fuck do you do with this shit? And folks were like putting grenadine in it and shit. I'm like,
I was more thinking, who is actually drinking this? And then my boy Max Tisdale comes back with a 6-pack.
Somebody's got like somebody likes Smirnoff Ice. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember Smirnoff Ice, triple black.
Mike's Hard Lemonade, Doc Otis's Hard Lemonade, like all those things. Now they have like hard root beers and hard colas and hard all these other things. And I drink them and they're sweet as shit. I'm like, I don't want to drink this shit anymore.
Yeah, I get heartburn.
It's too sweet. But all these things are super sweet. But Zima's where it started. Zima's where the shitty, sweet, wannabe beers all began. So if you're sitting there drinking a Mike's Hard Lemonade, you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is really subpar. You can thank the good folks at Zima for that.
They fault.
It's they fault, yo. So,
All right.
Dude, I like totally shit on my hot take for the week.
You already did your hot take.
I already did my hot take of the week.
That's why I was looking at you like.
I'm like, oh my god, I got done and I was like, I totally fucking did my hot take. So all right, so Ken's gonna lead off with the hot take, and I'm gonna sit here and brainstorm another hot take while he's talking, and see if I can come up with something inexplicable and shitty while he's talking. So go for it.
Okay, speaking of the upcoming NFL season, the Raiders and the Patriots in November will play a game in Mexico City, and I believe the Raiders will lose this game because of Montezuma's revenge.
For those of you who are not aware of what Montezuma's revenge is a gastrointestinal disease caused by a variety of microbes
In the Mexican water.
in the Mexican water system. Actually, if you go anywhere outside the continental U.S. and drink the water from the tap, it's probably going to fuck you up. So
Hence the Dave Matthews song, Don't Drink the Water.
don't drink the water unless you're prepared for the long haul, because
Yeah.
you're gonna be in the can for a while.
So yeah, the Patriots will beat the Raiders, but only because the Raiders will be on the sideline shitting themselves.
Yeah, it's well, they are the Raiders. The chances are they're not gonna drink water. They'll probably just be drinking alcohol the entire time. Smart guys. It's Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, there may be ice in their drinks. They may eat the ice. Okay, I can see it coming from. I don't see them as a mixed drink team though. I see them as like a Jack Daniels hard alcohol / Budweiser.
Well, maybe in
team.
the Jack Tatum, Rod Martin days.
No, they still have Khalil Mack on that team. They Derek Carr. Did you hear what he said about if you you're only a Raiders fan if you love us in Vegas too? He said some shit. It was pretty stupid, but he's a Raider.
Okay.
he's
Oh man,
He may lack the felonies, but he does have their
pedigree.
je ne sais quoi. Je ne sais quoi.
What I don't, I don't know what.
I don't know what. So, well, I guess my hot take.
You're on it.
Yeah. I still think Carmelo's going to fuck up the Rockets really bad. The fallout, coaches fired, team dissolving, Harden, maybe going somewhere else. CP3 calling it quits. I mean, I can see the Rockets honestly, truly imploding. But here's the take, right? Stephen A. Smith will claim it's racism. There we go, because that's what he does. That's actually a pretty solid take. Like if you watch,
That's actually realistic, so it can't. I'm not going to let it qualify as a shitty hot take.
Oh my god, I'm struggling to hear people. Like,
Oh boy, we got him on the ropes.
oh my god. So I need to take a
A shittier hot take.
Skip Bayless will side with the player. No, he'll take Carmelo's side. Right, you're thinking about how that could work out. It's not gonna. He doesn't do that.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't do that. So Skip Bayless,
We'll allow it.
Skip Bayless will side with Carmelo in the Rockets imploding on Fox Sports 1. He will say it to Shannon, who will somehow, through verbal linguistics, mouth the words.
You see, the new world is inevitable.
It's what?
Inevitable.
One more time?
Inevitable! Things are inevitably going to change! God damn it, open your fucking ears!
I don't believe you. And that'd be what it is. I like Shannon Sharp, though. I like him. He just doesn't
What are you
speak
talking
English.
about?
Hey, look, the dude came from nothing. I respect him. I respect
Started
him.
from the bottom, now he's here.
I truly respect that.
He went to Savannah State.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He did a lot of good things. Came from a big family, sleeping on the floor type shit. Like, no shit, rags to riches type deal. He's very humble about it. So, all right. So, that was my shitty hot take, and that's Ken's shitty hot take. Well, not in that order. It's actually Ken's shitty hot take, then it's my shitty hot take. Anyway.
Mine was a really shitty hot take.
There was some shitty takes. They were kind of hot. They were hottish. They were hot. Zima was involved. Something's different was involved. The Zimas. I say,
Yes.
if you see him, go ahead and cop some, so you can relive your childhood for all of 20 minutes.
Childhood.
Like, because you didn't drink this shit if you're of age. You drank it because the bum bought it for you. And be sure, hey, for those of you who may follow the path, be sure you tip your bum that bought you your illegal alcohol. Be sure you tip him. Hey, look.
Not that we condone underage drinking.
I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, at least be gracious about it and tip the bum that bought you your shit.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, right? That's just being a good Samaritan. That's just a good transaction right there, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking the risk here. You have paid them for the risk they're taking, So, all right, that's the show, right? It's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Dirt and the Dork,
Yerp.
out.